Yeah, I think it's important for young drivers to realize that Formula One isn't the be all and end all with motorsport. And through AMD, the motorsport marketing business I was running, that was a major conversation with parents and kids because, yeah, you are competing against thousands of other young drivers. You've got to be based in Europe. You've got to have a big enough wallet. And the thing is, you can have a really successful career in GT racing. And I think a lot of kids need to realize that is don't put Formula One on the pedestal and don't base your whole racing life with that number one goal because it's going to end in
Yeah.
tears. And
Yeah.
you can have, I mean, look at yourself, look at the likes of Bamber, Richard Bradley. These
Yeah.
guys are, as a GT racer, you could be competing for a team driving a Ferrari in America 1 month, then traveling to Europe and driving a Porsche in another series the next month. You can be doing anything you want as a GT driver. You can even be making a salary as a
Yeah.
GT driver.
Yeah.
Uh, but whereas Formula One, it's so restrictive that even when you get into F1, you're very limited as to what you can do. And I mean, unlike the 60s, I mean, in the 1960s, Formula One drivers were doing Le Mans 24 hours, the Indy 500, Formula Two, Formula Three, everything in between their races. But these days, I mean, Bernie Ecclestone had put, I think it was the British Grand Prix or one of the Grand Prix on the same weekend as the Le Mans 24 hour so that none of the
Yeah.
Formula One drivers would compete
Yeah.
in Le Mans
Yeah.
24 hour.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got like this kind of let's say it's the blinkers, where everyone's focused on F1 or as a young driver, and when you go from when you place all of your value and your reason for being, let's say, on an external thing, which it's generally it's not gonna bring you happiness, and it's probably you'll have some guys who are really talented, focused, everything about one, and they're kind of destined to get there. So there are a few of these guys around. You think Lewis Hamilton, he was really one of them in that sense, but not to say that it's preordained, but they have this opportunity and they take it, but that's who they are. They're not pretending to be anyone else. They're not, trying for something. That's just them. And I think that a lot of drivers, ego gets in the way of a lot of it, because you do see even now these days, some drivers will jump into a car, they'll come out of single seaters, maybe they'll come to GT, and because they're maybe half a second off where they thought they'd be, and then they just leave, and they're like, oh, I don't want to drive this, and they won't work with anything. I think once you get drivers to let go of that kind of ego thing, that I want to drive single seaters and I want to be known as a racing driver, and it's really quite an interesting topic, and you can kind of see it, and it comes across through the sort of, let's say, the personality thing. But I think motorsport's great because you learn a lot about yourself.
Mm.
You get a lot of feedback. Not everyone says it to your face. I appreciate people who do say it to your face, and I'm fortunate enough I had people in my life who would take me to one side and say, this is that, and you hurt at the time because your ego is hurting. But once you let go of that and you kind of come through that phase, then you go, oh shit, yeah. It's an entirely different color fish. It just changes your world in that sense. So I think, there's so many great opportunities out there in GT racing, but it's not even maybe on the racing side, but it could be engineering, it could be, team management, it could be sponsorship side. There's a whole host of things which you learn, and you can then transfer out, because if let's say that motorsport ceased to exist, and I could take all these skills and I could go into a company, I could do something, I could do something else using these skills. And I think that motorsport is a really great starting place for a lot of these young guys and girls who are coming into it. That's going to be really setting themselves up for life in a good way.
Yeah, and that's what Peter Burns is working on as well. Is the team, the TEAM aspect of taking what you've learnt in motorsport or how you operate a Formula One team or a racing team in general, and putting that into your business life
Yeah.
and corporate way.
Yeah.
Do you?